Commander Zyrex Mavoon squinted his three amber eyes at the holographic image rotating before him. The small, blue-green planet looked peaceful against the backdrop of endless space. "So this is Earth," he rumbled, his voice filling the command center of the Viridian mothership. "It doesn't look particularly dangerous." His second-in-command, Officer Shala, nervously flicked her antennae. "Don't be fooled by appearances, Commander. This is the 5th expedition sent to this system. None of the previous 4 returned." Mavoon waved a clawed hand dismissively. "The Stellar Coalition has conquered 37 galaxies. Are you suggesting we should fear a single planet of hairless primates who only recently figured out how to leave their atmosphere?" "With all respect, sir," Shala replied, "the High Council classified Earth as extremely dangerous for good reason. Every species that attempted invasion has vanished without a trace. The Argos, the Wendigo swarm, even the Nebula Collective." "The Nebula Collective? Those spineless gas clouds?" "I'm hardly surprised," Mavoon huffed, releasing a plume of vapor from his breathing slits. "But we are Viridians. Our technology is vastly superior to theirs." "Just like the others thought before they disappeared, sir." Mavoon glared at his second-in-command. "Are you questioning my judgment, officer?" "Not at all. Simply providing context. For our mission." "Good, because I plan to succeed where others failed." The commander turned to his tactical officer. "Lieutenant Krell, status report." The slender, blue-skinned lieutenant tapped several icons on his console. "We've established orbit behind their moon. Earth's primitive detection systems haven't noticed us. Our cloaking technology is working perfectly." "Excellent. And our infiltration team?" "Scout Unit Alpha is prepared with atmospheric adapters and language interpreters. They await your command." Mavoon nodded, his scaled head gleaming under the harsh lights. "Deploy them immediately. I want eyes on the ground before committing." Our main forces. As Lieutenant Krell relayed the orders, Officer Shala moved closer to the commander, lowering her voice. "Sir, perhaps we should consider a more cautious approach." The data suggests nothing concrete," Mavoon interrupted. "Just vague warnings and unexplained disappearances." "I prefer facts, and the fact is these humans are primitive compared to us. They still burn fossil fuels. They fight among themselves over invisible borders and imaginary deities. That may be true, but no buts. We will observe, assess, and then conquer. That's the Viridian way." Shala reluctantly backed down, her expression troubled. On the other side of the command center, Lieutenant Krell called out, "Scout Unit Alpha has deployed, sir. They're entering Earth's atmosphere now." "Put them on screen," ordered Mavoon. The holographic display shifted to show the feed from the scout ship's cameras. The sleek, dart-shaped vessel cut through Earth's upper atmosphere, causing a brief flare of heat before stabilizing. Clouds parted beneath it as it descended toward a landmass the humans called North America. "Progress report," demanded the commander. "All systems normal," replied the pilot's voice over the communication system. "No detection from Earth defense systems. Weather conditions optimal. Proceeding to designated observation point." Mavoon allowed himself a smug smile. This was going exactly as planned. Soon Earth would be just another conquest in the glorious history of the Viridian Coalition. "Sir," said Lieutenant Krell suddenly, "we're detecting unusual energy fluctuations from the planet's surface." "Define unusual." "I can't, sir. Our sensors aren't familiar with this signature. It appears to be some form of directed energy, but the composition is strange." Mavoon frowned. "Is it targeting our scout ship?" "Negative, sir. It seems to be ambient but concentrating in the area our scouts are approaching." "Pilot," Mavoon called over the communication system, "do you detect anything unusual in your vicinity?" After a pause, "Nothing on our instruments, Commander." "Wait, there's Something odd about the clouds ahead. They're moving unnaturally. The command center crew watched as the scout ship approached a bank of cumulus clouds that indeed seemed to be behaving strangely, swirling and reshaping themselves at impossible speeds. "Evasive maneuvers," ordered Mavoon. "Pull up!" The transmission abruptly cut off as a blinding flash engulfed the scout ship. When the light faded, there was nothing left but empty sky. Stunned silence fell over the command center. Mavoon stared at the screen, mandibles twitching in disbelief. "What in the 7 moons of Viridia just happened?" he finally demanded. Lieutenant Krell frantically worked his console. "Unknown, sir. The scout ship simply vanished. No debris, no energy signature, no distress beacon. It's as if it never existed." Officer Shala stepped forward. "Sir, I recommend immediate withdrawal." "Absolutely not," roared Mavoon, slamming his fist against a nearby console. "I will not retreat at the first sign of resistance. Deploy scout. Units Beta and Gamma. Different approach vectors. Full sensor array activated." Shala exchanged worried glances with Lieutenant Krell, but didn't argue. Orders were relayed, and 2 more scout ships departed the mothership, arcing toward Earth. "On separate trajectories. This time," growled Mavoon, "we'll be ready for whatever trick these humans are playing." Scout Unit Beta approached from the planet's southern pole, while Gamma came in over the vast Pacific Ocean. Both maintained constant communication with the mothership, transmitting real-time data. "No unusual readings so far," reported Betas. "And pilot. Approaching landmass. Visual on human settlement." The screens showed a small coastal town, primitive structures clustered along a harbor. Tiny figures moved about, oblivious to the alien presence above them. "They look so harmless," murmured one of the junior officers. "Appearances deceive," replied Officer Shala grimly. "Always remember that." Beta's pilot continued his report. "No signs of advanced technology. No weapon systems detected. Beginning. Detailed scan of, wait, something's happening to our sensors." "Clarify," ordered Mavoon. "They're showing impossible readings. According to this, there's a massive object directly beneath us, but visual confirmation shows nothing but ocean. The feed from Beta showed calm waters below, completely at odds with the sensor readings." "Pull up immediately," commanded Mavoon. "Too late," came the reply. The ocean seemed to ripple, then bulge upward. What appeared to be water took on a solid form, reaching for the scout ship with impossible speed. In seconds, Beta was enveloped in what looked like a giant hand made of seawater, before being dragged beneath the surface. No debris, no explosion, just gone. Before anyone could react, Gamma's pilot shouted over the communication system. "Something's latched onto our hull. It came out of nowhere. It looks like... This can't be right. It looks like a human child, but it's outside the ship in the stratosphere. It's smiling at me through the viewport." Static replaced his voice. Mavoon stood frozen, his mind struggling to process what he had just witnessed. This defied all known laws of physics, all military doctrine, all logic itself. "Commander," said Officer Shala quietly, "I strongly suggest we reconsider our approach." The commander slowly turned to face her, his expression unreadable. "You were right, officer. We need more information before proceeding further." He straightened his posture, attempting to regain his composure. "But I will not abandon this mission. The glory of the Viridian Coalition demands nothing less than total victory. What do you propose, sir?" Mavoon studied the holographic Earth spinning innocently before him. "We'll send in a stealth infiltrator, one individual genetically modified, to pass as human. They'll gather intelligence from within, identify weaknesses we can exploit." "That's actually sensible, sir," Shala said, surprise evident in her voice. "Don't sound so shocked, officer," the commander replied dryly. "I didn't reach this position by being reckless all the time." Lieutenant Krell spoke up. "We have Agent Tyvos in stasis, sir. He's undergone extensive genetic modification and cultural training for just such a mission." "Wake him," ordered Mavoon. "I want him briefed and ready for deployment within the rotation." As officers hurried to carry out his commands, the commander returned his gaze to the holographic Earth. "Wherever you are," he whispered to the blue-green sphere, "whatever tricks you possess, know this. The Viridian Coalition does not surrender. We will uncover your secrets, and then we will destroy you." The preparation of Agent Tyvos proceeded rapidly. The sleek, black-skinned Viridian operative was awakened from stasis and transformed through advanced genetic manipulation to resemble a human male of average height and build, with what xenobiologists identified as Caucasian features. His training had been extensive, gleaned from years of intercepted Earth broadcasts and communications. "Remember?" instructed Officer Shala during the final briefing. "Your mission is intelligence gathering only. Do not engage with their military forces. Do not attempt sabotage. Simply observe, record, and report back." Tyvus nodded, his newly formed human facial features still moving somewhat stiffly. "Understood, officer. I'll discover what happened. To our scout ships and identify Earth's defensive capabilities. The fate of this mission rests on your shoulders, Agent," said Commander Mavoon gravely. "Do not fail the Coalition." Hours later, a tiny one-person stealth pod ejected from the mothership. Its advanced cloaking technology rendered it virtually undetectable as it descended through Earth's atmosphere without incident, landing in an isolated forest region far from human habitation. Agent Tyvos emerged dressed in clothing appropriate for the region, a small device disguised as a human smartphone clutched in his hand. This would be his communication link to the mothership, designed to transmit data using Earth's own primitive networks as camouflage. "Infiltration successful," he subvocalized, the words transmitted directly to the command center, proceeding to nearest human settlement to establish cover identity. Back on the mothership, Commander Mavoon allowed himself a small measure of satisfaction. Finally, they were making progress. Soon they would unravel the mystery of Earth's inexplicable defenses, and the path to conquest would be clear. But as the hours passed, a growing sense of unease settled over the command center. Agent Tyvus's communications became increasingly bizarre. "The trees are watching me," came one transmission. "I can feel their awareness. This is impossible, but I swear they're turning to follow my movements." Then, "Found road leading to settlement. Encountered human female. She smiled at me and said, 'We've been expecting you.' How could she know? My disguise is perfect." And later, "The settlement appears normal on the surface, humans engaging in typical behaviors. But there's something wrong. They all know exactly who I am." A child pointed at me and said, "You came from the stars." His mother laughed it off, but her eyes knew. Commander Mavoon paced the command center, his agitation growing with each passing moment. "What is happening down there?" he demanded of no one in particular. Officer Shala studied the data streaming in from Tyvus's device. His vital signs are elevated but stable. Brain activity shows increasing stress patterns, but no indication of hallucination or malfunction in his implants. So he's actually experiencing these things. "That's impossible, sir," said Lieutenant Krell, hesitantly. What if Earth isn't what we think it is?" The commander whirled on him. "Explain." "The data doesn't make sense from a technological or biological perspective, but what if we're dealing with something beyond conventional understanding? Something metaphysical?" "You mean like magic?" scoffed Mavoon. "Don't be ridiculous, Lieutenant. We're scientists and warriors, not superstitious primitives." Before Krell could respond, Tyvus's voice came through again, now tinged with undisguised panic. "They're all around me now, the humans, smiling. They've invited me to something they call a welcome party. They know. Somehow they all know. I'm maintaining cover, but wait. The ground is shifting beneath my feet. It's like it's alive. Everything here is alive and aware, and The transmission cut off abruptly. "Agent Tyvos!" shouted the commander. "Report, Agent Tyvos." Nothing but static answered him. "Get him back," Mavoon demanded. Lieutenant Krell worked frantically at his console. "I can't, sir. His beacon is still active, but it's not transmitting data. It's as if something is blocking the signal, or as if he's simply chosen to stop communicating." That's absurd. Tyvos is a veteran operative with unwavering loyalty to the Coalition. "Sir," interrupted Officer Shala, "I'm detecting a transmission from Earth. It's being broadcast on all frequencies using our own encryption protocols." "That's impossible," whispered the commander. "Put it through." The command center speakers crackled to life, and a voice that sounded disturbingly like Agent Tyvos, but somehow different, more fluid, more musical, filled the air. "Greetings, Commander Xerex Mavoon of the Viridian Coalition. Earth welcomes you and your crew. We would be delighted if you would join us on the surface. There's so much we could learn from each other, so much to share, so much to experience." The commander stood rigid with shock. How do you know my name? How are you using our protocols?" A soft laugh came through the speakers. "Oh, Commander, your Agent Tyvos has been most helpful in that regard. Although he's not exactly your agent anymore, he's found a new home here with us, as have all the others who came before you." "Others? You mean the previous expeditions? What have you done with them?" "Done with them? Nothing. They didn't ultimately choose themselves. They're all here, living among us, happy, fulfilled, as you could be too." Mavoon's voice was a growl. "We are the Viridian Coalition. We do not surrender. We conquer." Another laugh, this one almost pitying. "Oh, Commander, Earth doesn't want to fight you. Earth doesn't need to fight you. Earth simply is. And what Earth is, well, that's something you'd have to experience to understand." The transmission ended, leaving a stunned silence in its wake. "Orders, sir?" asked Officer Shala quietly. The commander stared at the holographic Earth, his mind racing with possibilities, none of them comforting. "Prepare the main invasion force," he finally said, his voice cold and determined. "Whatever game these humans are playing, it ends now. We will descend in overwhelming numbers. We will identify whatever technology or trickery they're using, and we will crush it beneath our heel." "Are you certain that's wise, sir?" ventured Shala. "Given what we've witnessed?" "Especially given what we've witnessed," snapped Mavoon. "No. Primitive species makes fools of the Viridian Coalition and lives to tell about it. Ready all troops, we attack at dawn." As the mothership hummed with preparations for war, Earth continued its serene rotation below, seemingly oblivious to the threat gathering above it, or perhaps, in some inexplicable way, looking forward to it. The massive Viridian warships descended through Earth's atmosphere like metallic thunderclouds, their hulls gleaming in the early morning sunlight. Commander Mavoon stood at the command center of the lead vessel, his posture rigid with determination. "Status report," he barked. Lieutenant Krell studied his console. "No resistance detected, sir. Earth defense systems remain dormant. No missile launches, no fighter scrambles, not even increased communications chatter. They're either fools or supremely confident," muttered the commander. "Either way, they'll regret their complacency." Officer Shala approached, her movements betraying her unease. "Sir, don't you find it strange that they're not responding at all? Even the most primitive species typically attempt some form of defense when invaded." Mavoon flicked his tail dismissively. "Perhaps they're paralyzed with fear, or maybe they're planning something. It doesn't matter. Our forces are prepared for any eventuality. The invasion fleet had strategically positioned itself above major population centers across the planet. The plan was simple: simultaneous shows of force to demonstrate Viridian superiority, followed by targeted strikes against military installations. Minimal civilian casualties, not out of compassion, but practicality. Dead beings couldn't serve the coalition. All units report ready for Phase 1 deployment, announced Lieutenant Krell. Excellent. The commander's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. Launch dropships. Let the humans witness the might of the Viridian Coalition. Across the fleet, bay doors slid open, releasing swarms of smaller vessels like deadly hornets. The dropships plunged toward Earth's surface, each carrying 30 elite Viridian warriors armed with plasma rifles and gravitic disruptors. On the main view screen, Mavoon watched his forces descend upon a human city labeled Chicago. On their maps, the dropships expertly navigated between tall structures of glass and steel, causing panic among the tiny figures scurrying below. "Look at them run," sneered the commander. "Such fragile creatures." The first dropship touched down in a large, open area, a park according to their intelligence. The bay door opened, and Viridian troops poured out, weapons at the ready. "Ground Team Alpha has established landing zone," reported Lieutenant Krell. "No resistance, so—" "Wait." The commander leaned forward. "What is it?" "The humans." Krell sounded confused. "They're not running anymore. They're gathering, surrounding our troops, but they're unarmed." On the screen, hundreds of humans were indeed forming a circle around the Viridian soldiers who had taken defensive positions. The humans made no aggressive moves. They simply stood watching. "What game are they playing?" growled Mavoon. "Commander Strike Force, report." The gruff voice of Commander Joran came through the communication system. "Situation unclear, Commander. Humans present but non-hostile, awaiting orders. Show them we mean business." Fire warning shots. On screen, the Viridian soldiers raised their weapons and fired into the air. Beams of pulsating energy streaked upward and then curved in impossible arcs, looping back toward the ground, but dissipating harmlessly before impact. "What in the seven moons?" breathed the commander. Commander Joran's voice held a note of panic now. "Sir, our weapons are malfunctioning. The energy discharges aren't behaving according to known physics." "Impossible. Those are military grade plasma rifles." "Sir," interrupted Lieutenant Krell, "similar reports coming in from all landing zones. Weapon systems behaving erratically." "And the humans? They're still just watching?" Officer Shala stepped closer to the view screen, studying the scene intently. "Sir, look at their faces, the humans. They're smiling." They were smiling indeed. The faces of the gathered humans showed no fear, no anger, only serene, knowing smiles. Some had even begun to sit cross-legged on the ground, as if settling in to watch an entertaining performance. "This is psychological warfare," declared the commander. "They're trying to unnerve our troops." "Commander Joran, maintain position and—" "Commander!" Joran cut in, his voice strained. "Something's happening to the ground beneath us. It's moving!" The camera feed from Joran's helmet showed the park grass rippling like water, gently at first, then with increasing intensity. Several Viridian soldiers lost their footing, stumbling as the earth undulated beneath them. "Pull back to the dropship," ordered Mavoon. But before the soldiers could comply, the grass abruptly stretched upward, growing at impossible speeds. Within seconds, the Viridian troops were entangled in a forest of writhing green tendrils that wrapped around limbs, weapons, torsos. "Help!" shouted one soldier. "It's pulling me down! I can't—" His voice cut off as he sank into the ground, the grass closing over him like water. One by one, the other soldiers followed, their struggles futile against the animated vegetation. Commander Joran was the last to go, his final transmission consisting only of confused, garbled shouts before silence fell. In the command center, stunned horror gripped the crew. Commander Mavoon stood rigid, his three eyes fixed on the now empty park. The humans remained still, sitting calmly, still smiling. "Reports of similar incidents at all landing sites, sir," said Lieutenant Krell, his voice barely above a whisper. "All ground forces gone." "Gone where?" demanded the commander. "People don't just disappear. Scan for life signs, energy signatures, anything." "I am, sir. There's nothing." It's as if they were simply absorbed. Officer Sharla cleared her throat. Sir, we're receiving another transmission. Same encryption as before. Put it through, said Mavoon grimly. The voice that filled the command center was a chorus. Dozens, perhaps hundreds of voices speaking in perfect unison, yet each somehow distinct. The commander recognized Commander Joran among them, along with other Viridian voices, but there were others too, voices with the cadences of countless different species. We tried to invite you peacefully, Commander Xerex Mavoon, said the chorus. We hoped you would join us willingly, as so many others have, but you chose force, as the Viridians always do. What are you? Demanded the commander. What have you done with my soldiers? Your soldiers are here with us. They are becoming part of Earth, as all who come here eventually do. As for what we are... A ripple of something like amusement ran through the chorus. We are Earth. Not its rulers, not its inhabitants, but Earth itself. That's impossible. A planet is just rock and water and atmosphere. Is it? Perhaps where you come from. But Earth is different. Officer Sharla stepped forward. Are you saying Earth is alive? Sentient? In a manner of speaking, yes, though your language lacks the proper concepts to fully explain. Earth is not merely alive. It is life itself, a nexus of consciousness that spans dimensions beyond your comprehension. The commander's mind reeled, struggling to process this revelation. You expect me to believe this planet is some kind of cosmic entity? Believe what you wish, Commander, but consider, how else do you explain what you've witnessed? The laws of physics being rewritten at will, matter reconfiguring itself, the impossible becoming possible. Before Mavoon could respond, Lieutenant Krell called out an alarm. Sir, we're detecting energy surges throughout the ship. Systems are behaving erratically. Lock everything down, ordered the commander. Initiate emergency protocols. But even as he spoke, the floor beneath his feet began to shimmer, turning semi-transparent. Throughout the command center, consoles, walls, and equipment underwent similar transformations, solid matter becoming malleable. What's happening? Gasped a junior officer, staring in horror as his own hand began to glow with an inner light. The ship is changing, said Officer Sharla, her voice oddly calm. We're changing. The chorus of voices spoke again, now seeming to come from everywhere at once. Don't fight it, Commander. Fighting only makes the transition more difficult. Your people are joining with Earth, becoming part of something greater than the Viridian coalition could ever be. I will never surrender, roared Mavoon, even as his own body began to shimmer with the same unearthly light. The coalition will send others when we don't return. They will burn this planet to ash. A wave of what felt like gentle amusement washed over him. They will try, as you tried, as the Argos tried, as the Wendigo swarm tried. And they will join us too. It is inevitable. Around the command center, Viridian crew members were changing, their forms becoming fluid, merging with the ship itself. Some fought, screaming in terror, others surrendered to the transformation with expressions of wonder, as if glimpsing something beyond description. Officer Sharla looked at her transforming hands, then up at the commander. Sir, I can feel it, minds. So many minds, all connected, all part of something wonderful. Traitor, spat Mavoon, but his anger felt hollow, drowned out by the flood of sensations now washing through his own consciousness, glimpses of other lives, other perspectives. Human, Viridian, and countless species he couldn't name, all sharing their experiences, their knowledge, their very essence. Not a traitor, said Sharla gently. A pioneer. We're not being destroyed, Commander. We're being welcomed. The commander wanted to argue, to fight, to maintain his identity as a proud Viridian warrior. But the boundaries of his self were dissolving, merging with the greater whole that was Earth. And despite himself, he began to understand. Earth wasn't conquering them. Earth was offering something the Viridian Coalition, with all its military might, could never provide: true unity. Not the forced subjugation of conquered peoples, but a genuine communion of minds and souls, across species, across time itself. As the last of his physical form surrendered to the transformation, Commander Zyrex Mavoon finally understood why no invasion force ever returned from Earth. Not because they were defeated, but because they found something worth staying for. Across the planet, the rest of the Viridian fleet underwent similar transformations. Massive warships dissolved into swirling patterns of energy and matter that rained gently down upon forests, oceans, and deserts. Weapons became flowers, armor became soil, and soldiers became one with the planet they had come to conquer. Days later, in a small-town coffee shop in Montana, two men sat chatting over steaming mugs. To casual observers, they appeared perfectly ordinary, one tall and lean with salt and pepper hair, the other shorter with a neatly trimmed beard. "Still adjusting?" asked the taller man with a knowing smile. The shorter man, who until recently had been Commander Zyrex Mavoon of the Viridian Coalition, nodded slowly. "It's overwhelming, all these sensations, these emotions. Human bodies experience the world so differently. You'll get used to it. We all do eventually." The taller man, formerly an Argos commander from an invasion force centuries earlier, sipped his coffee appreciatively. "The physical form is just the beginning, you know. Wait until you start connecting with the deeper consciousness. I've had glimpses. There aren't words. No, there aren't. At least not in any language we brought with us." The former commander stared into his coffee. "Will I ever be me again? You'll always be you, but also more than you. That's the beauty of Earth. It doesn't erase. It expands." Outside the window, a child walked past, holding her mother's hand. She glanced in, smiled directly at the two men, and waved knowingly. "How do they all seem to recognize us?" asked the former commander. The Argos chuckled. "Earth knows its own, and all humans are part of Earth, whether they fully realize it or not. The young ones sense it most clearly, and the ones who left Earth, the humans in space stations and colonies, still connected, just more distantly, like remoras swimming alongside the shark. Still part of its ecosystem even at a distance." The former commander considered this. "And the Viridian Coalition, when they come looking for us, they'll find exactly what we found, what everyone finds, a choice between fighting the inevitable or embracing something greater. And they'll choose as we chose, as everyone eventually chooses." They sat in comfortable silence, two former enemies now bound by a shared understanding deeper than any alliance could forge. Outside, the sun shone on a peaceful town. Birds sang in trees that were slightly more aware than trees should be, and the earth beneath everyone's feet hummed with a consciousness vast beyond comprehension. In the depths of space, another fleet was already preparing to investigate the disappearance of the Viridian Armada. They would come with weapons and warnings and rigid determinations not to fail where others had failed, and Earth would welcome them, as it welcomed all, with the patience of an entity that existed for eons and would exist for eons more. Not as a conqueror, but as a collector of consciousness, a nexus of life that grew richer with each mind that joined its grand communion. For the humans who had evolved alongside this cosmic entity, the pattern was familiar. Throughout their history, invaders had come with swords, with guns, with ideas, and all eventually became part of the tapestry that was human civilization, each contributing their strengths, their perspectives, their uniqueness to the whole. Earth had merely expanded this principle to cosmic proportions. It did not defeat its would-be conquerors. It embraced them, enriched them, and was enriched by them in turn. As the former commander Zyrex Mavoon sat in that small-town coffee shop, Gradually acclimating to his new existence, he finally understood why no one survived attacking Earth, because surviving implied remaining unchanged, and Earth changed everything it touched, not through destruction, but through transformation, not through conquest, but through communion. And in the end, that was a fate that even the proudest warrior could accept with grace.